So here I'm going to show you some examples of how to progress from the paddle to the tennis racket. So I start off with a slow ball using my simple technique. And then as I build confidence in that, I can switch to a little bit faster ball. Using the same technique, I can make the court bigger, so I move further from the net or further from the wall. Still using the same technique, so notice that I'm starting simple, making it more complex. And then as I build confidence, I can eventually switch to a longer tennis racket. But notice that even with the longer tennis racket, I'm using the same technique that I was using initially with the paddle. So the players only have to learn something once, but as they build confidence, you open up the environment so that it becomes a little bit more challenging if the goal is to eventually transition them to the full-size tennis court. It's really important that you use progressions with every new skill that you are teaching to your students. So for example, if you're teaching them how to hit a topspin forehand because they've gotten to a level where they're more advanced, start with progression 1, which is the Spec tennis paddle and a red ball. So they build confidence with this progression, and then they can move on to another progression, which could be using the orange ball. So we're making the ball faster, but we're using the same exact technique. And then if your student is trying to transition to classic tennis, or they're currently playing classic tennis, we can switch them to the tennis racket. Again, using the same technique that they learned in progression number 1. If I am teaching a student how to hit an overhand tennis serve, I'm going to start close to the net with the Spec paddle, and I'm going to teach them the simplest way to make the ball over the net with an overhand swing. So not a continental grip or anything like that yet, because again, we're focused on functionality. How do I make an overhand serve? And then I can make it better from there. As I have success, I may start moving back from where I started. And then as I have even more success, I will use the same technique, but now using the tennis racket as I work my way back towards the baseline. So those were just a few examples of how you can use progressions for your students, and it's going to be up to you whether you are teaching your student to play Spec tennis or whether you are using Spec tennis to teach your student classic tennis. But regardless, the progressions are still the same. We want to start with the simplest possible way with the least amount of variables and moving parts so that our student has a very high success rate. And then as they build that confidence, we can make things harder.